household is live. What's up, guys? Good to see you. Excalibur, Wakanda, Africa underscore vintage. I see you on Instagram. Hi, everyone on TikTok. Hello, everyone on YouTube. And where else?
Facebook.
Facebook. Facebook and LinkedIn. Good to see you all. Chidi Chime, I see you. Side Hustle with .ai, I see you on TikTok. Thanks for joining. Nganga.leon, I see you too. Thanks, Joji. I haven't been able to fit in this shirt for like 4 years, dude. I finally fit today. I used to wear it and all the buttons were like stretching open like that. And you could see my chest hairs. So I've lost some weight, which is great. And it's an expensive shirt too, man. Let me floss just a little bit. This is a Hugo Boss shirt, if I do say so. Not exactly your run-of-the-mill brand. So it's pained me that all these years I couldn't fit in the silly thing. So today I'm super joyful that I could fit. Thank you all for. Yeah, machismo is right. Thank you all for joining. Today is Thursday, the 16th, I think. Is it? 15th. I'm a day early. Today is Thursday, the 15th of August, 2024. Our bi-weekly Facebook Live Q&A session. So if you know someone who's going to benefit from all the amazing information we're going to be sharing over the next hour or so, please share the link with them. Don't be selfish. Send them the link, invite them to join the conversation. They might have a question, they might have a comment, an observation about all things land and real estate in Kenya, because that's what we specialize in. And the whole point, as always, is to share our 2 cents with you based on all the experience that we've gathered over the last 12 years doing deals in Kenya, buying and selling land. So we're here for you. Send in your questions. Don't be quiet. If you're quiet, I'll be quiet. So don't be quiet. Send in your questions or comments and let's have a blast. So over to you all. I'm ready to answer your questions. It's now, 4 minutes in, which means we have 56 minutes before we end. So let's get the party going. There's a question already from Eric_Thuo on Instagram. What's up, Eric? Thank you for tuning in and for sending in your question, which is, what happened to the tea? It was a favorite. Well, we just haven't shot season 3, I think it was. That's what happened, Eric. Thuo, Pius and I are not exactly idle people, so yeah, let's wait and see how it goes. Thank you for asking. Yes, that's right, Eric. It's not land related, but it's all good. At least you asked a question, and you were the first one to. All right, we have a second one from Moz underscore Amin 23 on TikTok, who says, "Do you still have lands that are 1 million or less?" I think we only have one at the moment in Imbuko 5. Someone was unable to complete their payment, so we're putting it back on the market. I believe someone's going to, is it tomorrow? Tomorrow to site to take a look at it. It's likely it'll go tomorrow. We had two others last week, and they went immediately. Imbuko has been our best seller so far because of the price point versus the size, so no surprise there. Um, I don't know if you're watching us and the picture keeps freezing, please forgive. We don't know what the issue is. I see my, yeah, okay. I know I'm a good looking chap, but my static face on the screen is not interesting. So apologies in case it's freezing on your end. But uh, yeah, Moz underscore, I mean, there's only one. If you want to bust a move before someone goes to sites tomorrow, feel free, let us know. We'll share the info. But, that's the only one. Probably will be for some time at that price. And the price is actually 1.19 million. Unless you're making a single bullet payment, you can have it for 999K, which is 1,000 bobs below 1 million shillings. And Bob's your uncle. So let us know. Thank you for asking. Ale Ale, not sure how to pronounce that, on TikTok says, "Hi, would you consider purchasing land a form of investment?" Absolutely, 100%. Land is probably the most stable of investment vehicles because it's a fixed, immovable asset. It has a limited supply. So we're guaranteed its value going up over time as more and more human beings keep getting born that pass away. It's a reality of our existence on this planet. And God isn't making any more land. So, yes, land is a form of investment. And that can range all over the place in terms of what kind of investment exactly, whether it's for farming, whether it's for industrial use, whether it's for constructing communities, homes, offices, uh, whether it's for growing forests, for carbon credits, whether it's just to hold, preserve value over time, especially if you buy in the right location. It's wide ranging. So, short answer, Ale on TikTok is yes. Hilary Joseph says, "Hello, I was asking how long does it take to transfer succession land and what's the process it entails?" Uh, First of all, succession in Kenya typically takes about 12 months. That's been our experience to get letters of administration issued by a court of law before you can transfer the land, unless there are special circumstances requiring for that to happen sooner, in which case you'd have to make your case to the court, to the presiding court, and see if they're willing to be flexible on that timeline. So that's number one. Number two, the process is exactly the same as any other transfer. And for more details, if you haven't yet, Hillary, please go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Download a free copy of the Grand Acres checklist, your 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. That's a process that it entails, and you will be fine. Thank you for asking. Aladdin on TikTok says, "With the current unrest and protest, is it safe to invest back home?" Aladdin, I don't know about you, but here in Nairobi, it's quite restful. as of today and yesterday. Actually, since last week, we haven't seen any unrest or protests. Uh, yes, it is safe to invest back home as long as you do it right, you follow due process, do your due diligence, and follow every single one of those steps on the Grand Acres checklist, 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya, as I just mentioned. It's available for you as a free download on our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Be kind to yourself, access it. We don't charge for it. It was created just for you as a resource to use. Um, and thank you for your question. Kiru1194 on TikTok. Do you have a mentorship program for up and coming realtors? No, we don't, Kiru. Not something we've thought about. Maybe we should. I don't know. My take on mentorship is a bit different from most people. It's not something I would commit to lightly or advise people to get into lightly. Um, so it's not something we've given thought to. But maybe now we will, since you ask. And thank you for sending in your question. Charlie Zoar6 on TikTok says, how would one go about offering your company a deal you might be interested in? Gladys here will DM you the items you would need to send to us, in what format, and so on. So stand by, Charlie Zoar, or you can DM us and someone will guide you through the process. You can do that on WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp number is 0700010001. Again, that's 0700010001. And we'll be able to engage with you and get back to you as quickly as possible. Thank you for asking. Ngigi on TikTok says, Niko na 10K, how can I invest? Ngigi, I don't think that's a question for us. You need to be a lot more specific when you say you have 10K. How can you invest? You mean in land? I don't know any piece of land that you can buy for 10K in Kenya. Not at the moment. So first response for me, if you're talking about land, is you need more capital. So find a way to get access to more cash. Then perhaps you can start to have a conversation. Mr. Tony on TikTok says, hi, what's the process of title transfer of ancestral land if you happen to buy a portion? What's the process of title transfer of ancestral land if you happen to buy a portion? Well, presuming that there is a title deed, the process is exactly the same as any other. As I just recommended to the other two people who asked the same or similar question, download the checklists. Okay, it's not rocket science, but there are quite a number of steps to follow, none of which I can enumerate during this live. If you want to pick on a specific one, I can touch on it real quick. Otherwise, no one else will be able to ask any other question before it's time to shut down the live session today. So go to our website, www.grandacres.co.ke, find the tab that says checklist, click on it, enter your email and name. It will send you automatically a free copy of the 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. That's a process you want to use, whether it's ancestral land or otherwise, presuming that there is title. If there is no title, That's a non-starter conversation. There is no way to transfer land that does not have title. So do make sure that there is indeed a title first, and then follow the 9 steps. MC on TikTok says, "Hi, please help. How are land control board applications done?" We've done a bunch of videos, MC, on this. I highly recommend you go through our archives on Own Land in Kenya. You can type that into YouTube or Google, Own Land in Kenya. Same as Instagram and all sorts of other places on how to do a land control board application. Number one, you will need the services of an advocate. There's no shortcuts. Number two, you require a viable or transactionable title deed to the property that needs land control board consent to be transacted on. You need the land control board application form, which is a very specific template produced by the government that you have to fill in details for. You also have to pay the official fee, which is now 3,000 shillings on Ardhi Sasa. Get a receipt, present the receipt, your application form duly filled in, copy of the relevant title deed, as well as a search report for that property to the secretary of the relevant land control board that you need to appear before. Once you've done that, they will book you for the land control board hearing on the pre-scheduled date. In most parts of the country, they meet once a month. In some of the busiest regions may meet twice a month. In some, they'll even split those by zones so that every week someone is attending a land control board for a particular area. And you'll present yourself with your identification documents as well as the original copy of the title deed that's being considered, and you will receive the verdict of the land control board. Thereafter, of course, you will either receive a approval and a consent letter or a denial or disapproval with reasons why, probably, so that you can try again. That in a nutshell is a process. But as I've mentioned, we have a few videos on our YouTube channel, Own Land in Kenya. Go on there, find the videos, listen to them. And if all else fails, hire yourself a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya to guide you through that process. Shaggy AR on Instagram says, "Hi, I am from India planning to lease a land in Masai Mara. Could your firm help me with?" Thank you, Shaggy, for your question from India. No, this is not something we can help you with. We only sell what we own. We don't lease land. And also, we don't ever act as agents or brokers or any such middleman arrangement. So we wouldn't be the right partners for you, Shaggy. Beyond that, there's not much else I can say, but I wish you all success. Perhaps the one thing I will leave you with is make sure the title to that property that you're leasing land from exists. Otherwise, you're just gambling, especially in that Masai Mara area. Yeah. And if nothing else, hire yourself a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya, duly licensed to practice by the Law Society of Kenya, and you should be okay. Thank you for asking. Naivasha Kenya on Instagram says, "When is Naivasha project starting?" Which Naivasha project might you be referring to? Please let us know. All our projects have very specific and unique names. You can't confuse them for any other company's projects. So please let us know. I'll be happy to clarify further. Wakanda 2020 on Instagram says, when are you announcing the next new plots for sale? Well, we hope in the next 2 to 4 weeks, if not sooner, by the grace of God. So stay tuned. We're super excited about them and can't wait to make the announcement to you. Luke underscore Onyango on Instagram says, are there land control boards within Nairobi? I'm sure there are for the few sections where you do have agricultural lands still. That can be easily verified for you by a licensed advocate. Um, but yes, there are land control boards everywhere in this country for every zone, for every ward, even in some counties. So, short answer is yes, Luke. Thanks for asking.
Naivasha, Kenya has added it's the one opposite Safari Center.
Okay, cool. What was the question?
When is Naivasha project starting?
Truthfully speaking, whoever is asking that question on Facebook, we do not know yet. We're working on that feverishly. It does happen from time to time where we experience unplanned or unforeseen delays on projects like these. So yeah, just stay tuned. We will make enough noise about it that you will hear about it and you'll know that we've started. Thank you for asking. Naivasha Kenya on Instagram. Hmm. How do you pronounce that name? Tanya. Tanya on TikTok says Nico TZ. What is MM? Oh wow. Any language ya Gen Z. Is Mimi apparently. Okay. Mimi Nico TZ. I like listening to you a lot. You have a lot of madini on land investment. Thank you, Tanya. I'm not sure what madini means, but it sounds like huh? I have a lot of gems. Nice. I like that one. Napenda hiyo. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate the kind compliment. And thank you for listening. Yika Africa, YICA Africa says, hello, sir. I am an upcoming realtor and I have been learning a lot from you. I quote you a lot when I'm training our team, and I thought it's good you be aware that some of us are after your steps because we trust you. Thank you for being a role model. Wow. Your flowers are due now. Again, I say thank you. Thank you so much, YICA Africa. That's a very kind compliment. I really appreciate that. God is good. What can I say? We we all exist here on this planet to add value to one another. So to that extent, I am grateful for your comment today. Thank you so much. Out of questions? Oh, there's more. Hey, they've come in fast and furious today. Okay, it's 8:25. Um, MC on TikTok says, any plans for Mombasa or coast in general? Yes, we are actively scouting for land at the coast. Haven't found anything we can talk about yet. So stay tuned. You will know when we have found it. Thank you for asking, MC. Waiting for more questions. Abdi Haile on TikTok says, what's the best way to own freehold property in Kenya as a non-national? Abdi Haile, I am sorry to tell you that there is no way whatsoever to own freehold property in Kenya if you're not a citizen of Kenya. It's that simple. You can only own leasehold land. If you're a non-Kenyan, you cannot own freehold land. You can only own leasehold land. So there you go, Abdi. Moz underscore Amin on TikTok says, I checked the inventory list on Imbuko. It says it's sold out. That's correct, Moz underscore Amin. We sold out on Imbuko 5. The one that is available, as I mentioned already, is only available because the purchaser did not fulfill the terms of the sale agreement. So we have unwound that transaction with them, and therefore it is available for someone else to take. Abdi Haile on TikTok says, does a residency permit give rights to own freehold? The answer is no, Abdi Haile. You have to be a Kenyan citizen either by birth or by naturalization. Only way to own freehold land in Kenya. It's that simple. G underscore 8 on Instagram says, what advice would you give to a person who wants to venture into property development? Best advice I can give is be very intentional and measure thrice, cut once. Be clear about what exactly it is you want to do in property development. Number one. Number two, you need to ensure you are sufficiently capitalized. You need a lot of cash. Properties, businesses in general are very cash hungry. So if you're not properly funded, you will have many, many troubles, which you don't want to have. Those are the two main things. And of course, it shouldn't have to be said, but exercise integrity and discipline. Those are basic human traits that should be expected of every single person, regardless of what industry you're in. So, main one is be clear, have a vision, have a goal. Number two, have sufficient capital, and you should be okay. Thank you for asking. G underscore 8. More Gitu on Instagram says, explain what a green card is and how to know if a title deed has the same. First of all, uh, you can't have a title deed if there is no green card. The green card is what gives birth to a title deed. It precedes the title deed. It contains all the records about a particular deed file from the day it was created or registered to date. Some of those go back to independence or pre-independence days. So that's what a green card is. It is the mother of the title deed. The same way that your birth certificate is the mother to your national identification card. You cannot have or obtain a national identification card in Kenya if you do not have a birth certificate proving that you are a Kenyan by birth. Same thing with green cards and titles. The green card is what gives birth to your title deed. You cannot have a title deed unless there is first a green card. I think that answers your question, Mogitu. If you have a title deed that does not have a green card behind it, that title deed is completely worthless. It's as good as thin air. Green card by far is the most important document as pertains to properties in Kenya. Susan Gugi on Instagram says, how long on average would you say land takes to appreciate? Like a minimum time one should give it before thinking of resale, especially for land purchase for speculation. Also, should one buy land for speculation ama hiyo imepitwa na wakati? Well, how long on average would I say? There is no average. It depends on the location of the piece of land and what's going on in its immediate environs and such. All that plays a role in the appreciation of value over time. In some cases, it's very quick, depending on when something happens after you've bought it, versus the guy who bought it 20 years ago before you. Okay, so there is no minimum time one should give it before thinking of resale. It just depends on your specific goal. Has the land appreciated enough that you feel it's been worth the wait? If not, keep holding. In general, the longer you can wait, the better. Even when purchased for especially when purchased for speculation. That's the whole point of speculation, is to wait until conditions are favorable for you to sell for a decent profit. The fattest profit will typically come after the longest period of time of holding, or unless something unique happens immediately, like a giant government project coming along suddenly, or a private development that uplifts the value in the area. Things like those. Should you buy for speculation? Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. You have to exercise wisdom with regards to how much of your cash or capital you want to tie up speculating on land, because it's a fixed immovable asset, and sometimes it takes longer to sell than you need it to sell. So you don't want to tie up too much of your available resources in land for speculation. I generally tell people don't have more than 30% of your long-term savings in land for speculation. 30 is a lot too. Okay, you need some liquidity for emergencies. You need to diversify, put money elsewhere, emergency funds, all the basic stuff you learn about when you're talking about financial prudence and budgeting and that sort of thing. But that's very subjective. Some of us have a high appetite, risk appetite, because we are involved in the day-to-day business of buying and selling. I might be more comfortable risking more than 30% of my long-term savings. But I often tell people, unless you're in the business, don't have more than 30% of your long-term resources savings in land. So yes, there's no such thing as it being passed by time. People will always need land. As I mentioned earlier, God isn't creating any more land, and we are multiplying by the day as a human race. So land is a diminishing commodity by its very nature, which guarantees an uptick in value over time. Thank you, Susan. It's a great question. Abdi Hele on TikTok says, what are leasehold property renewals dependent on? First thing they are dependent on, Abdi Hele, is the term limitation. In Nairobi CBD, typically you'll find they all expire after 49 or 50 years. Okay, so you have to renew before it expires, or else you lose it. It reverts back to the county. In other parts of the country, you'll have up to 99 years, especially for freehold properties, which is majority of the country. That's pretty much it. That's what it depends on. Uh, you want to renew before it expires. Um, yeah, can't think of any other reason that renewals are dependent on. Unless I did not understand your question accurately, Abdi Haile, please feel free to clarify further. I'd really appreciate. Ahadi Group, hey, there they are. What's up, Ahadi Group on Instagram says, how does land quantity surveying differ from general land surveying? Land quantity surveying. I'm not sure what you mean, Ahadi Group. So quantity surveying has to do with cost estimations for developments, whether it's development of the land or buildings or whatever. Quantity surveyors, that's what they do, is they will tell you beforehand how much money it's going to cost you for every single component of a building before you start. And this is important for planning purposes so that you have enough resources prepared, or else you get stuck, which becomes more expensive to complete, right? So that's what quantity surveying is. Land surveying is a different animal from that. Land surveying has to do with the identification of the boundaries of a piece of land, its dimensions, its shape, its fragmentation through subdivision or amalgamation with others to combine. That's what land surveying is all about, which is very different from quantity surveying. So, unless I've misunderstood your question, Ahadi Group, do let me know. Thank you for asking. Okay, Ahadi Group has a follow-up saying, also, how do we ensure compliance with local land use and zoning regulations? Well, unfortunately, that's not something you can do as an investor or a buyer. The best you can do is confirm whether or not the property you're buying has been produced in compliance with the local land use and zoning regulations. But you cannot ensure compliance yourself, because once it's done, it's done. And this is what due diligence is about. You can have your licensed advocate in partnership with a licensed surveyor and also a registered planner if you need one to confirm that the piece of land you're buying is properly zoned in compliance with the local land use and zoning policy or regulations for the area. Today in Kenya, every single county has its own zoning policy. It is a mandate of the county governments to decide zoning within their territories, no longer national government. So you need to be conversant with what the requirements or policies or regulations are for the specific county that you're investing in. And this is what licensed advocates are supposed to help you with in partnership with surveyors and registered planners and that sort of thing. So the best you can hope to do is confirm the actual status, but it's virtually impossible to ensure compliance or enforce compliance. That situation would have been dealt with before you ever learned about the property. And so if you find that the property is not produced in compliance with the land use and zoning regulations, walk away. It's that simple. Don't touch it. Find something else that's compliant. It's not as if you can ask the seller to go back and fix something. I don't see any practical way to do that. Unfortunately, this is the reality in Kenya. We're still a long way from proper enforcement of compliance to zoning and land use regulations for each county for many reasons, corruption, both by government entities and we in the private sector who facilitate it, greed, impatient customers, investors who don't want to do due diligence or don't care to learn what it means to own a freehold piece of land that's zoned agricultural and yet you intend to use it for residential or commercial purposes. So, yeah, I hope I've answered your question, Ahadi Group. Thank you for asking. Abdi Haile on TikTok says, can the renewal be rejected? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. For many reasons. The county might have a valid reason for rejecting your renewal. They might have public use requirements for the space after your lease expires, and therefore they might choose not to renew. And the renewal can also be rejected if you do it past the deadline. Once it's expired, it's expired. You cannot renew after expiration. You need to renew before the expiration of the lease, or at least start the process before the expiration. Cool. We have 16 minutes left. It's now 8:44 p.m. Send in your questions. Let's answer as many as we can. No more questions? Guys, run out of steam? Uh-huh. Abdi Haile, man, Abdi Haile gets the award for most questions today. If it's a residential property on an estate, not commercial, and renewal is submitted on time, there is no reason for it to be denied. If you're applying for a renewal on time for a residential property on an estate, why would they deny you? Unless there's foul play at work, in which case, get yourself the meanest, toughest advocate possible to fight for your rights. MC on TikTok asks, does Grand Acres deal in sectional titles and do you have a panel of advocates? No, we do not deal in sectional titles, at least not yet. Those will typically be interacted with in the context of constructed properties, built properties, buildings, apartments, commercial spaces, that sort of thing. Typically not for land. So no, we do not deal with those yet. And yes, we do have a panel of advocates that we use for various reasons, exercises, and such. Yeah, uh, let us know if you wanna be put in touch with any of them, because we only work with the best in terms of ethics, in terms of competence. Yeah, would be happy to. MC, thank you for asking your question. Mr. Nice Shoes on TikTok says, "Hi, I'm thinking of buying land in Malindi for agriculture. Anything you can advise in general?" Yes, download the checklist. 9 steps to safe land buying in Kenya. It's on our website, www.grandacres.co.ke. Find the tab that says checklist, enter your name and email address. It'll send you the checklist for free automatically. That's what I would advise in general, especially in Malindi. Your due diligence needs to be super airtight, and get a licensed advocate to help you. Step number 6 on our checklist. Thank you for asking. A Hadi group on Instagram says, "Are there land policies that emphasize balancing land conservation with other uses like development and recreation?" Yes, absolutely. In most counties, which is why you'll have policies like plinth area limitations, which say basically you are not allowed to cover more than half of your property with building. Or in some cases, 20% of the property only can be covered with a building, the rest has to remain green. So you'd have to be conversant with a specific policy for the area that you're considering or dealing with. But yes, there are land policies that do emphasize this. Twelve more minutes, guys. 12 more minutes. Send in your questions. Let's get as many of them as possible answered. G_8, no hints on the next project. You just have to wait. Uh, we'll send out the teasers soon. So just stay tuned, man. Coming to a screen near you soon. Alan Leyan on TikTok says, "Is it possible to buy a land at Mount Longonot?" I believe it is. Lots of people are selling land out there. Just not us, not yet. But yes, it is possible. As long as you do your due diligence and it checks out, go for it. Abdi Haile says, "Residential property, not commercial, lease renewal submitted on time. What are chances of rejection?" I missed the answer. There should not be any reason for rejection, Abdi Haile, um, unless there's foul play at work, which means someone in a position of authority is eyeing the same property and doesn't want to let you renew. In which case, as I advised before, find yourself the meanest, toughest lawyer to fight for your right to have the lease renewed. If you're doing it on time, there should not be any chance of rejection. Okay, Mr. Nice Shoes says we are in the market for about 400 acres for a ranch. Could you suggest any other options to Malindi? Uh, well, difficult for me to do that, Mr. Nice Shoes, because even if you're buying for a ranch, what sort of ranch? What primary activity is going to take place on the ranch? Is it livestock farming? Is it mixed use of livestock and crop farming? What's going to be happening on the ranch? I think that would be the first thing to define, because then it'll limit your options for consideration. And there are plenty of places to buy that kind of acreage in Kenya. Malindi, Tana River County, Kajiado County, Nakuru County, um, Laikipia County, tons of land up around Rumuruti, lots of ranches up there. Laikipia is actually known as ranch country. Taita Taveta, lots of space there for ranching. But each one of those locations will be more suitable to a specific activity than the other locations. So difficult for me to say what your other options are unless you have those details. But I think I've mentioned enough areas that you could probably look into on your own. And thank you for asking, Mr. Nice Shoes. Evin Kirimi on TikTok says precast or Ndarugo stones to build a 4-bedroom, which would be the cheaper option. I do not know the answer to that question, Evin. That's a question for a quantity surveyor or a contractor, perhaps. User 6130990894263 on TikTok says, what is the most important details should your titles have? English is hard. What? Okay, please read that question for me. Asewe.
What is the most important detail your title should have?
Umeedit. Asante. Every detail on the title deed is as important as the other. User 6130990894263 on TikTok. Yeah, there is no insignificant detail on a title. Any one of those is off or squiff in any way throws the entire document into suspicious category. It's that simple. So do your due diligence right. Pay attention to the details. Kyo Thomas on TikTok says, if you were to purchase land on the coast, where would you purchase? For me, it's Diani, Galu Beach, Diani, number 1. Number 2, Watamu. I'm listing those in order of preference. Number 3, Kilifi, Bofa Beach to be specific. And for me, if it's not beachfront, I'm not interested. No point. You're gonna go all the way to the coast and not be on the ocean front. You might as well be in Kitengela. What's the point? So for me, it's beachfront or nothing. And then if I really had to, because there was nothing else available completely, Msambweni would be 4th. I don't like Malindi at all. Malindi beaches look like construction sites. The sand is coarse and brown. It's not salty white like you'll find in Diani, Galu, or Watamu, or even Bofa Beach in Kilifi. So that's my list. I wonder what yours is, Kyo Thomas. Let us know. Nims89 on TikTok says, how much do you normally sell your land for, sir? It depends, Nims89. Depends on location, depends on what amenities come with the land, what value addition we've made or not. It depends. There is no normal. Not all land is created equal or developed equal or subdivided equal or master planned equal. So it depends. If you want more details, please check out our website. It's www.grandacres.co.ke. And we've listed all our available projects, our current projects there. And you'll be able to appreciate better what I mean by it depends. ESH6660 on TikTok says, graduated in 2019. I luckily got a job, been saving to buy a property. Advice on the type of property. I can't advise you on that, whoever you are, because I do not know what your primary goal for buying the property is. Step number one on our checklist is define your goal. It determines or establishes every other step thereafter. So if you haven't done so yet, please download for yourself our free copy of the Grand Acres checklist, 9 steps to buying land safely in Kenya. It's absolutely free, and it could save you a world of pain. Three minutes to go. Hadi Group on Instagram says, any guest coming on live soon? Not sure, Hadi. Maybe you have suggestions on who you would like to come on our live. We're happy to consider that. Spice things up a bit, make it more interesting for you. Let us know, because you are the reason we do this every other week. Isaac Hakula on Instagram says, are you guys doing any beachfront projects? Not yet, Isaac. As I mentioned before, we are still scouting for opportunities, and as soon as we do find something, we will make the loudest noise possible and you will know. So stay tuned. Abdi Haile on TikTok says, how do you convert a freehold to leasehold? That's a very technical process which involves gazettements of your intention to convert freehold to leasehold, advertising, public participation hearings in some cases. Yeah. The best person to help you with that process is a registered planner in conjunction with a licensed advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I strongly recommend you identify those quickly if that's indeed what you want to do, and they'll be able to guide you properly. Because if you skip any step along the way, your resultant change of tenure could be challenged and overturned in court or otherwise. So dot your I's, cross your T's, work with licensed professionals, don't take shortcuts, don't look for cheap solutions, work with professionals, make sure they follow due process, and you should be okay. All right, ladies and gents, it is now 9 p.m. I want to thank every single one of you for making time to join our Facebook Live Q&A session today. Always a privilege that you would make time to do that. Thank you. We don't take it for granted. I've enjoyed answering your questions. If we didn't get to your question in time, please forgive. It wasn't ignored. If it's super urgent and pressing, please DM us. We'll be happy to answer you offline. Again, if you know someone who couldn't join this live Q&A session but would benefit from what we've talked about, please share the link. It's going to be uploaded soon so you can rewatch. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and share the link with everyone you like, love, and respect. Only good vibes only. And I wish you all happy investment. Have a good night.